Greetings, this is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. Peace to all my friends and family. I hope that you're having a great night. So, the past couple of weeks, maybe even months, I've been entirely focused on this book and what comes along with it. Cyclomancy, the secret of psychic power control. And as someone stated last night, at first glance, this just seems like another book, another how-to manual, another step-by-step guide. But when you take it seriously and you really start to dig into what is written here, the exercises, you'll start to find that this unassuming manual of liberation is more than meets the eye. In fact, in this book are recipes for how to really activate the latent abilities of the subconscious mind. Think to yourself, when someone says psychic ability, psychic power control, what does that mean? What does that mean to you? To me, when I think about psychic ability, psychic power control, I think about being able to utilize the senses that are beyond my five senses, including telepathy, to a degree, telekinesis, and having an overall sense of confidence in life. Because what is confidence? What builds confidence? Knowing. If you've practiced and you step into the arena, you're confident. Doesn't matter who the opponent is or what the opponent is. If you've practiced, if you're certain within yourself that you know what you're doing, you have confidence. On the flip side, if you step into the arena, if you walk into the classroom to take the test and you have not studied at all, it's impossible to have confidence, real confidence. You can have fake confidence, false confidence. But a certain teacher used to say all the time, do the work, do the work, do the work. And we love catchphrases, right? We love slogans, we love mottos and mantras that sound empowering. But when you really stop to listen to a phrase like do the work, there's no need for celebration. Sit your ass down and do it. That's it. Do it. Consistency, repetition, consistency, repetition. That's what gets the results. Especially in the subject field such as this. Consistency and repetition. So when we talk about psychic ability, some people are born with the skill. Yeah, some people are born with the ability. Yeah, some people have it naturally. Just like being able to play a sport or an instrument or to have some other skill, some people are born with it, for sure. Some people are born beautiful. Some people are born powerful, charismatic. brilliant. Others are not. Now, that doesn't mean that you cannot be those things. What that means is you need to do the work so that you can develop within yourself the qualities that you wish to exhibit. Psychic ability is no different. No different. And here's another thing. Just because you're born with natural talent, that doesn't give you any special pass. You know what's a terrible thing? Somebody with natural talent and an undisciplined mind. Ooh, that's a terrible thing. That's a terrible thing. When you look at basketball, and as a preface, I'm not into sports whatsoever, but it's a lot of people who are born with the natural talent to play basketball, to play football, but they don't have any discipline, and therefore they do not make it far in that field. This may be an unrelated example, but I remember when I was going to high school, there was this guy who was a complete star at football. Like, he was unstoppable. It was natural talent. And he had these dreadlocks in his hair. And he was offered a college scholarship at a very prestigious college. And they said, under one condition, we'll pay for your entire schooling, but you got to cut that hair off. And he's like, nah, I won't do it. He didn't get the scholarship. And I later worked with him at another 9-to-5 job, just trying to pay the bills. Now again, that might be kind of unrelated, but sometimes, all the time, when it comes to utilizing the potential that you're born with, it will come with a sacrifice. And if you're lucky, that sacrifice is only discipline. If you got more karma than others, then that sacrifice may be that you have to lose a part of your identity. Not even lose, but let go. Peace to everybody here. Peace to all my friends and family. I love you all. Peace, Richard Tracy. Peace, Lance Benefield. First and foremost, Mario 2502. Peace. It's been a minute. Sirius Sue 888. Fat Juicy Steak, or in my case, Feta Encrusted Salmon. Lucid Realities. Peace, peace. Lucid Reality says, peace, bro. I was watching a video of yours from 4 years ago. Crazy how much you grew. Time flies when you're having fun. Mia Love, peace. 223 Soldier, peace, bro. Hope you're doing good. Hakeem Lamidi, peace, peace. My fellow Cyclomate. May Bride, peace. ZJ, peace. Matthew Watson, peace, brother. New Bold Spawn, peace, peace. Jefferson. Ray Blackstorm, peace, brother. Garrett Patterson, peace. Nibs Music, peace, my fellow Cyclomate. Anna Molly, peace, my favorite ginger. Kev Rose, SS God, peace, Sunshine Chick, always good to see you. So today we're going to talk about psychic ability. We're going to talk about telepathy. It's not as difficult as you might imagine, and it's not as far-fetched as you might have been told. In fact, it's extremely simple. Now, a lot of people talk about visualization, and I've heard in my comments people say, I'm not able to visualize. Alicia M, peace. I hope your night is well. A lot of people talk about visualization and they're not able to visualize clearly. Well, here's the thing. Everybody visualizes clearly. You dream at night, don't you? You dream at night. And in fact, when there's something that you want, you've got a clear picture in your head. Now, I know certain books like Dharana Darshan will say that you have to visualize the thing as clearly as if you really were looking at it with your eyes open. Now, that's the goal. That's where we want to be for sure. But some of us have to work our way up to that, and that's okay. It's perfectly fine. In fact, it's expected that you have to work your way up to mastery. That does not discount the visualizations that you have. There might be a car that you want. You might go to the car dealership, find the one that you want, talk to the salesman, sit in the driver's seat, grip the steering wheel, right? Feel yourself in the seat, press the buttons, pretend like it's yours. This is still the process of visualization. Find out that you can't really afford it. Go home. Tell your friends about the car. In the process of describing this vehicle, talking about the leather seats that heat up when it's cold. You got the moon thing up at the top. What do they call that? The sun. What do they call that opening at the top when you press the button? Somebody knows what that is. Anyways, you can describe it clearly to your friends. This is still visualization. And see, what makes visualization so special is that there's emotion attached to it. And what makes visualization so important, what makes it so relevant, is that not only do you attach emotion to it, but you attach yourself to it. When you close your eyes and you think about that car, make sure that you put yourself in the driver's seat. Make sure that it's your hands that are gripping the steering wheel, your fingers that are pressing those buttons. This is still visualization. And the more emotion that you have attached to it, the deeper the impact. Thank you, sunroof, moonroof. I appreciate that. I don't know why it slipped my mind. But I remember when I joined the Navy and I finally had a little bit of money to spend on a vehicle, and I bought my Volkswagen. I felt like I was on top of the world. It had a moonroof, heated seats, peanut butter leather on the inside, sparkly blue on the outside. It was an awesome car, and it was mine. I paid for it. And I managed to wrap it around a mountain. You guys have probably heard that story before, where I crashed in West Virginia, and we were picked up by some hillbillies who proceeded to kidnap us. And things could have went worse, but they didn't. Thank God. But anyways, being able to clearly elucidate these things that you want, that's included with visualization. It's not always just thinking about dragons and chakras and sigils. We utilize this stuff every single day, all day. So let's get to psychic ability and what all this has to do with it. Being able to communicate telepathically involves three aspects. The first aspect is the sender, and usually that's you. The sender is the one who is sending the message. The aspect number two is the receiver. This is the intended target. And by the way, psychic communication and telepathy, it can be conscious, it can be unconscious, it can be voluntary, and it can be involuntary, right? As I mentioned, we're in the midst of the Cyclomancy class, and my dreams for the past week have not been my own. I don't know which one of y'all it is, but y'all need to chill. But telepathy involves three aspects: the sender, the receiver, and the medium through which is being transmitted. The medium. So here's how you do it. As the sender, what makes these things flow smoothly is being able to put your message into a symbol. So as the sender, you take your message, whatever it is, and you encode it within some type of representative image. Moby, peace. Good to see you. I got my Starbucks pumpkin latte creamer. I'm good. I couldn't find the, what was it? The one you suggested. They didn't have it at my store, as usual. But anyways, you take your message and you encode it within an image, within a symbol. And it helps to take that symbol and infuse it with emotion, like I just mentioned. You infuse that symbol with emotion, and it may help to put it into some type of sphere, right? You can visualize your message going into a ball of some sort. And you'd have your target identified already. And you take that ball and you'd push it to them. You'd send it to them. You don't send the thought, you don't send the message, you don't send the image. You send the container to the recipient. Now, if you've got someone to practice with, like my cyclomates, if you have someone to practice with, then as the receiver, what you're going to do is put yourself into trance. Put yourself into a deep trance with the intention to receive that sphere. And you allow that sphere to enter into your aura. And you allow the subconscious mind to unpack that sphere. You allow whatever images rise to the surface, whatever emotions rise to the surface. And here's the thing, you're not always going to get the exact image, especially if you're just beginning. In fact, the image might be different for you because what's really being sent is the emotion. And you may interpret that emotion differently based on your perspective. So this is where it gets tricky. Once you receive that sphere and that emotion, you've got the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. You've got the ego and the higher self. Now it's up to your personal evolution, your personal growth, to see if you're going to allow the subconscious mind to interpret the image, or if you're going to let the ego project onto it. Big difference. What the ego will do every time is project based on whatever data you've accumulated so far. You're going to project your personality onto the image, as opposed to receiving and unpacking what was sent to you. So a lot of people think that this stuff doesn't work because they're so busy projecting instead of receiving. So once you receive this sphere, you allow the subconscious mind to unpack it. You identify the emotions related to it, and you let the images arise as they are. You don't second guess yourself. You don't listen to doubt. Because here's another thing, when you're actively trying to strengthen your psychic ability, you have to let go of that inner doubt. Because the inner doubt will tell you every single time, oh, you're just making it up. Oh, you're just being extra. this isn't real, you watch too many movies. Doubt will tell you that every time. So there has to be a suspension of disbelief when you're doing this kind of practice here. Now, the third aspect I mentioned was the medium through which the message travels. Well, in this case, this medium is the collective unconscious, the minds of the individuals. I think it's much better to practice with someone who is also willing to learn. I found that it's easier to do it that way than to just practice with random people. Because with random people, you don't really have a sure way to verify what you're getting unless you ask probing questions. And that's how I started. I started by projecting to the people in my vicinity, and I'd kind of ask weird questions, just to see if what I sent was received. And I was able to work it out. And you can too. But it's a whole lot more simple when you're working with somebody else who's on the same page. So hopefully, if this is interesting to you, you've got somebody that you can practice with. And also somebody who is mature enough to understand what shadow work is and to remove their ego from the equation. Most of the time, if you guys are trying to communicate and send messages and there is discrepancy, it has to do with projection of the ego. Don't project. This is not about trying to interpret it. You allow it to unfold. There's a difference between masculine energy and feminine energy. There's a difference between electricity and magnetism. When it comes to receiving psychic message, we're dealing with magnetism. We're dealing with receptivity. This is the feminine aspect of spirit. You have to allow it to unfold. You have to allow it to unfold. And depending on you, it may be quick or it may take a few days. It's the same thing in Cyclomancy, where he talks about the exercise of being able to ascertain what time it is without looking at the clock. See, there's one aspect of trying to guess what time it is based on the last time you looked at the clock, and then there's an aspect of allowing the numbers to appear, right? There's a big difference if you practice this. We've done it both ways, right? I've tried to predict what time it was because, last time I saw the clock, it was 8:50. So it must be 10 minutes from then. You're going to get it wrong if you do it that way. The other way is to just allow it and say, you know what? I might be wrong. Fuck it. I'm not getting graded here. I'm not going to lose anything here. Allow those numbers to enter your mind. Guessing the time is one of the most simple ways to practice your telepathy. It's in the book. It's in the book. Read the book. Everybody says they have cyclomancy, but ain't nobody read past chapter 2. Read the book. So if you're able to step into that mode of receptivity, you're going to receive things that may contradict what the ego wants. You're going to receive things that may be at odds with what your typical day-to-day thought process is. What you say. Let me know in the chat if this is resonating. Mia Love says, I haven't read past chapter 2. So yeah, I know what time it is. Because I was there. I know y'all didn't read past chapter 2. And then you skipped ahead. This book is amazing. It's powerful. But you have to do the work. There's a reason why Panic continued to suggest this thing. There's a reason why he continued to push this book for years and years and years, because There are techniques here that will 100% certainly unlock your psychic ability. That's why I'm doing a class on it right now. Look, Lucid Reality says I stopped reading at chapter 2. That's what I'm talking about. We was all there. I was there. So now what do we do? Now what do we do? Just Ridiculing Curriculum says, how can you differentiate what thoughts are and aren't yours? Maybe somebody in the class can answer that question, because that's definitely the first thing we learned. Most definitely. Visual OD says, man, something definitely in my way doing the first exercises. I would say push past them and continue. What's the second exercise? Imagine getting stuck at the first exercise and giving up because you get frustrated. Keep going. Keep going. So let me know in the chat, has anybody experimented with psychic communication? And here's the thing, y'all. This is what time it is. There's a reason I'm teaching this stuff. We're moving into a new time frame. Social media has accelerated the way the conscious mind works. The surface level NPCs, they're saying, oh, well, TikTok has made our attention span so short, right? I know everybody has ADHD and whatever. But there's a deeper thing that's going on here. We're moving out of the world where we have to use and rely on conscious ability, and we're moving into a space where success will be defined by those who are able to tap into their extra senses. Success will be defined by those who are able to tap into their extra senses. The information you're getting right now is ahead of the curve. This is ahead of the curve. As I'm saying, and as I have been saying for the past couple of months, if you're doing your research and you're practicing magic and you're doing all this other stuff, and you have not been cultivating psychic ability as a result, you are not making progress. You're not making progress. Psychic ability is a requirement. It's a necessity. This is why we have such a thing called armchair occultists, because these are the people who read the books and who memorize information but haven't unlocked what the information is talking about. Imagine reading about soccer and the plays and the positions and the different moves and the rules, but never stepping foot on the field. Imagine that person's success level versus somebody who's been on the field all their lives and maybe has never cracked open a book, but they've been doing it. Who's going to be more successful? Now imagine the individual who's been playing all their lives and has been studying, or an individual who's been studying and has been playing. Which one of these scenarios is going to have the best result? Which one of these scenarios is going to have the most success? Straight Panther, peace, bro, peace. Godflow 93, peace. Been a minute. Supremacy McCoy, peace. Lance Benefield says, I sometimes get our general manager to bring us breakfast every now and then. I don't know if I can pick up on the thought or creating the thought. Hey man, listen, practice how you practice. What did T.I. say? Get it how you live. Get it how you live. I know when I was working my last job, I was doing the same thing. Free Subway, free Starbucks. Use it and practice it. Practice it. Do what you got to do, but make sure that you're getting your practice in along with your study, so that the two can become married and create psychic experience. Kyle the God, peace, bro. So let me know. I'm gonna take a quick break. Post in the chat if you have been practicing your psychic ability, and tell me how you know that you are getting progress. Tell me in the chat how you know that you've been getting progress with your psychic development. Have mercy. Let's see what we got. Ray Blackstorm says, I started using pictures of people and using people in my office at work. This was in 2017. You can do this. Yeah, that's about the time that I started. And like I said, I was using my coworkers as well. They ain't got nothing else better to do. Kyle the God says, I use mimetic magic through my music lyrics to motivate others to see it my way, therefore bringing it into more of a reality. Okay. Garrett Patterson says, I told my wife in my mind that I love her, and she heard me. That's awesome. That's awesome. That reminds me, I can recall back in like 2015 when I was working with the book Basic Magic by Philip Cooper, and I was creating my my inner temple. And what I used to do was, like, while my baby mama and my son slept in the bed, I'd go into the bathroom that I used as my temple. We had like an extra bathroom, and I used that as my space. And I'd sit in there and I'd meditate. And there was one time that I was doing meditation, and my infant son came to me. Like, he floated over to me, Buddha style. And he asked me, how come you never sleep with us? How come every time we go to sleep you're in here? I don't understand. I felt a certain way about that. It stuck with me. It was clear as day. It wasn't me. So that really showed me that my son has his own capability as well. But anyway, Eric Jones says, how do you send thoughts to people's mind and block them? Okay, it sounds like you're asking me like 2 or 3 questions at once. One at a time, Eric Jones, one at a time. Timon, peace. Good to see you. Supreme McCoy says, I've been receiving confirmations through other people after the conversation and talks I have with self. It's like sometimes people say exactly what I said in my head. Listen, that is confirmation too, right? If you want to get a little bit more spicy than Cyclomancy, then perhaps you can look up another field of mind magic. I'm stalling because I'm trying to remember the name of it. Uncle Chucky. Look up Uncle Chucky and you'll figure out what I'm talking about. But there are practices within Uncle Chucky's books. Charles Cosamato, that's his name. Charles Cosamato. I ain't gonna say it no more. You'll find there are many techniques to send words into people's minds and then have them say it back to you. This stuff is not as far-fetched as you might have been told. It's extremely easy to do, and it's extremely accessible. The thing is, are you willing to put in the work and the practice to actually develop this skill, right? Anybody can go to the basketball court and throw the ball. Within about 100 times, you're gonna make that shot, right? Anybody can stand on the mound with a baseball bat and have a pitcher throw balls. You're gonna hit a couple of them. Anybody can do this. But what makes an athlete and an expert different from a TikToker or a newcomer or a smooth brain or an NPC is someone who dedicates and puts discipline, consistency, repetition, and practices to the point that they're able to get predictable results. Psychic ability is not just for certain people of a bloodline or a certain class or a gender. We all do it all the time. Hell, I'm convinced that women have an unconscious social network that they share information with each other that us guys don't know about. But like I said, the difference is being able to master this ability so that you can have repeated excellence. Repeated excellence. Your excellence is going to show itself randomly at times that you don't expect it to. But don't lean on that. That's just a preview of what you are to become when you reach the level you're supposed to go to. I remember when I was playing baseball in like the 3rd grade, right? And it was really cool back then because they took pictures of all of us and they gave us our own little baseball cards. And there was one instance during practice where the coach threw the ball towards me and I smacked the shit out of that ball. It went like straight to his head and he had to duck, and it went all the way across the field, home run. And everyone's like, oh yeah, home run king, home run king. Every game after that, when I went up to bat, they're like, yeah, he's gonna do it, he's gonna do it. I never did it again. I never did it again, right? But every time, because they saw that little flash of brilliance, they just automatically assumed, okay, he's got it in him, he's gonna do it again. Well, the same thing goes with this. You will have flashes of greatness. You will have a glimpse of what you're capable of. But don't do like I did in baseball in the 3rd grade and not practice. When you practice, you'll be able to do that more consistently. That's why Panic kept saying, do the work. Do the work, do the work, do the work. Sure, you might get a glimpse of your capability, yes. But don't sit back, cross your legs, and throw your arms behind your head and say, yeah, that's me. That's not you yet. Do some more work. Chisel out that marble until it is the sculpture of what your potential is showing you. Or don't. Or don't. It's your choice. But if you've seen a flash of your own greatness, that's a preview. That don't mean you can just sit back and do it. That's a preview. A lot of y'all are like me, right? When I was in school, I never studied. I never studied. When it came time for the test, I crammed the night before and I passed. And I developed a habit. Okay, well, I guess I don't have to listen or learn. I'll just cram the night before. But what would have happened if I studied? What would have happened if I applied myself? If I actually sat my ass down and did the work? How much greater would I have been according to the school and the records, right? Same thing with you. You have prophetic dreams, don't you? You can tell what these people are thinking about you, can't you? You can feel it. You can see shit before it happens. You hear the spirits talking to you. We know all of this. But you're shortcoming yourself when you refuse to sit your ass down and do the work. How much sooner will you unlock your potential when you do the necessary work? Don't get mad at me. If I'm lying, tell me I'm lying in these comments. Tell me in these comments that I'm talking bullshit. Anybody. One person. Half a person. An elemental. I've been around the way. I've been doing this for a while, right? And I remember back in the Facebook days, people were like, oh, well, I don't have to read because it's all within me. It's all within me. Shut up. Of course it's all within you. And you still have to read because it's within you. You don't know how to access it, do you? You might get that home run like I got in practice. It wasn't even during a game. It was during the practice. Right? Yeah, it's all within you. We can agree to that. But I promise you don't know how to access it on command. You don't know how to access it on command. This is why we study. This is why we read books. This is why we practice our rituals. You're a practitioner. That means you're in the process of practicing. You don't do it one time and you got it. It's a skill set that is developed. So look, I offer classes, and I'm gonna offer more classes in the future. Take my classes if you feel like they will help you develop yourself. And if you feel like you don't need to take my classes, that's fine. I give you the books anyway, right? I give you the books anyway. You have this PDF. You have that book. Why haven't you taken the time? It's cool to post it online, but did you read it? Do the work. I posted enough books right now on my channel for anybody to reach enlightenment if they wanted to. Dharana Darshan by itself. All the Bihar school books. Dion Fortune. W.E. Butler. All these books give you knowledge and exercises to do on your own time. Take my classes, and if you don't, study the work. Do it. But don't sit up here talking about you're this magical spiritual being and you ain't doing nothing. You had a home run a couple years ago. That's it. Give me somebody who has failed, yet they are trying every single day. I'll take that person over somebody who had a home run 2 years ago and they're still living off of that. Because that person ain't going nowhere. But the one who is constantly failing, you know why they're constantly failing? Because they're constantly trying. All they need is a slight tweak. All they need is just something slightly different. And they got it off like a rocket. What are you doing? What are you doing? What's your practice like? Peace, Allora. By the way, you know you're welcome on this live stream if you so choose to jump on. So that's my message for y'all. Like, do the work, not just because that's a cool slogan, but because reality is shifting right now. You feel it. I know you feel it because I feel it. Everybody feels it. My friends who are not even awakened feel it. NPCs are feeling it. Reality is shifting right now. And if you're not cultivating your psychic ability, you are going to be left behind. You're going to be in the dark. You're going to be missing out. And I don't speak in fear terms. You watch my channel all these years, I don't speak in fear terms. I don't speak in fear mongering. But I'm telling you, the way things are going right now, if you don't have your extra senses developed, you're going to be missing things that you need. Don't get it twisted. There's a lot of stupid ass people out here and they're getting the spotlight. Don't get it twisted. There's people who are waking up also. I've seen them. I talk to them. They're in my classes and they're beyond. They're all over the place. Yeah, it's a lot of jackasses getting the spotlight, but it's a lot of people waking up and it's a lot of people who are serious about this spiritual work. So don't be discouraged. It's easy to think, oh, the world's going to shit. Everything's doomed. It's easy to think that. And I'd be thinking that way sometimes too. But the truth is, it's a lot of us out here. It's a lot of us out here. It's a lot of us out here. I'm like Birdman. I ain't got no more talk in me. Put some respect on my name. When my name come up, respect it. Oh my God. What is this? What is this we have here?
Hi.
Peace and greetings. How are you, Allora?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you?
Pretty well. I'm all sassed up, apparently. Talk that sass, as they say.
Hearing it, man, but it's good. It's going with the vibes right now. Like, I definitely have been experiencing of like just needing to get back into practice and creating consistency with that routine. So, yeah, I'm totally vibing with what you're saying right now.
Yeah. It's one of the waves that are passing through, like, we've got the collective unconscious, and I think that this particular group of people that we're all connected to, we have a certain wave that flows through all of us.
We're definitely all psychically connected now. Like for sure. For sure.
So how are you doing? How's your situation, your injury?
One sec. Hey babe. What you doing? Okay, my bad. So no, things are good. We I am things are good. There's been a lot of interesting change coming up. I made a video recently just kind of explaining a bit, but yeah, like house is going through demolition, well, getting ready to go through demolition for water damage. And then I had a oh, can you not hear me? Oh no, we're okay. Okay. But yeah, and then there's like foot injury, so I burned my foot with second-degree burns from the top part of my foot all the way up the ankle. So there's been a lot of stuff that's been going on, but what's been really cool about it is as like these high stress situations have been happening, it's really made me get back to the practice of like meditation, positive thinking, like even incorporating mantras, like doing really getting back to that consistency, because I think for a while there I was kind of coasting because I didn't necessarily have a direction with my practice. I was kind of like, okay, I'm feeling good. I guess I can just coast. I guess this is fine. I'll just kind of learn as I go or whatever. And then these situations come up and it's like, oh shit, like, okay, I need to find balance again. And so it's been interesting because it's like as I'm approaching um like Tritaka meditations and chakra shooting and stuff like that, and really getting back into the practice of just like self-actualization, I'm realizing where my baseline actually is, like what my automatic responses are and what I can do to improve on. Um, which has been really cool because I've also noticed that parallel in my training too. Like today we were just doing pad work because I'm slowly getting back into it. So I can only use my hands at this point, but we're still just doing a lot of hand work. And I'm realizing like, oh shit, like my counters are good, everything is good, but my defense is really lacking. Like I really need to work on my defense here. So it's kind of the same thing with like my meditation practice and lifestyle routine. It's like when you kind of, I'm realizing like it's sort of good when you take a break because you can enjoy that time, but when you get back to it, it's even better because that's where you realize the stuff that you picked up and has stuck with you, and also where you need improvement and what you can do in order. Like now you have more of a, at least I'm fighting for myself, I have more of a clear picture of like what I actually need to improve on when it comes to my meditation practice, my lifestyle, my automatic thinking, that kind of stuff. And becoming more aware too of what results that produces, especially in high anxiety states, which has been really crazy. Because like that's where I've noticed the consistency of automatic thoughts that you have really do play the projection that you're living. Like events will happen. I'll think of something and an event will happen right after that. And like that pertains to what I was thinking, whether it was positive or negative, and it'll happen sort of at random times, so you never really know what thought it's going to be that's going to manifest, but it does. So it's just really cool to see that kind of thing and being like, oh yeah, I need to, okay, yeah, my automatic thinking is in this direction and therefore this picture is being painted, like let me turn it in this way. And yeah, so it's been cool. I've been cool. That's what I've been working on.
Okay. Sounds like an enriching experience. Uh-oh. I think the audio changed. Okay, so yeah, like you said, with those high stress situations, that's when we really start to see the automatic thought loops kick into gear, right? It's something different when everything is calm and cool and you're used to reality. But when those high stress situations kick up, all of a sudden now, the fight or flight kicks in, and you start thinking thoughts associated with survival.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an old saying that's like, you don't really know somebody until you see them under the fire, until you see them in a situation like that, right? And for good reason. When we talk about,
wanted to hang out with me during this time because she wanted to make sure that our friendship was real. Because she was like, if I can't enjoy you at your worst, how can I ever enjoy you at your best? And we need to give our friendship.
you can't appreciate me at my Kali, you can't appreciate me at my Durga.
Oh, that was good. Yeah. So that's fine. But it's,
Sounds
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
sounds like she has her priorities at least somewhat in order.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we actually ended up not hanging out because I was like, girl, I don't have time. But 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 we will, you know, and we do catch up and talk and stuff, so that's good. Um but yeah, it is interesting when you're put into those situations where you're with your flight or fight mode kind of in check, especially as we're in like modern living now in first world living conditions, because you don't need to respond in that way. Like you're still going to have the response, but it doesn't have to be so like, you know, oh, they're, you know, we must go to war with everyone. But the picture that plays out in our mind is that. So it's like it kind of plays out in this modern version, which is really interesting because I just find that like you just end up projecting onto people like complaining a lot and then making a situation worse than what it needed to be. And yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting.
I wonder, you know, reality is a mirror, and the people that we attract to us in the times that we are going through whatever are a reflection of what's needing to be expressed within us. Doing the Cyclomancy class, I was kind of prepared, but I mean, there's only so much you can prepare for. I knew that my dreams would be affected by the people that I'm working with. And yeah, since class number 1, my dreams have been insane. Like, you mentioned the word baseline earlier. Before I go into my dream stuff, tell us about what that means to you, baseline.
For me, baseline means basically your automatic response, or like where you actually are when all other when all other tools are stripped from you, or like your basic, like, you're not in high stress, you're not sad, you're not mad, you're just being. What is that? That's your baseline. And so in any category that you go in, you're going to kind of find your baseline in that category, how you just naturally respond to it.
How important would you say that is when it comes to psychic work?
Oh, I think psychic works. I think like working and building psychic intuition is the key to finding your baseline. So I think that it's massively important, if not basically all of it, because once you find your baseline, then your intuition improves because you're able to see what you're working with and accept more and be more receptive, and then adjust that baseline to a higher level, which allows you to become more aware of what's occurring and connect to more people and be able to connect those dots that then you realize shapes your reality. So yeah, I would definitely say that baseline is highly important when it comes to psychic intuition and psychic awareness. If not, that's kind of the crux of it. That's the whole part of that, of building psychic intuition.
The crux. And by the way, I don't know if you know this, but that was like a big part of the first class for Cyclomancy, establishing your baseline and how to do so. Because, like you said, that is the crux of psychic ability. If you don't know your baseline, how will you know what thoughts are yours and what thoughts are someone else's? What influences are coming from without what's coming from within? You got to have a standing middle point, just like with the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, right? That's not a ritual to banish demons. That's a ritual to establish your spiritual baseline, you at the center of the universe.
Right. Like, I'm not just means, but like even with some of the assignments in those courses, it's like when you have to find out where you are when it comes to your connection to yourself. So like when I think a lot of us start out where, I can't do it because I'm holding the phone in one hand, but like, you ever have that thing where you place your hands together and then you slowly separate them and you feel the wind in between, and that's like your life force, right? Or chi, and that builds up and then you can form it into bowls and stuff like that. I think a lot of us have kind of experimented with it and have felt that magnetic pull, and have kind of played with life force. Like, it's sort of what you were saying, where a lot of people think that once they get to that certain level then they have control over themselves. Like, that was me. I thought that because I could make this cool little ball and I could do my, my cool my cool practice of, like moving chi and stuff like that or whatever, that like I had control of sending thoughts to parts of my body, or like when I would imagine my hand on, having fire come out of it and all of a sudden it would get hot. Like, I thought that was power, that was connection to self. And then when I started actually going through the channel of like thinking the thought and then having it go to my hand without the use of my imagination in the way that I had been using it, all of a sudden I recognized that I didn't actually have a connection to my body, that I needed to connect to, that was a part that could be improved. So my baseline wasn't where I thought it was. I can't just make something like drop at like I can't just make that wind energy whenever I want, like not at the drop of a hat, like in other ways that would actually help me to do other tasks. So and if people are taking your course, and they'll understand kind of what I'm talking about, but it is like one of those things where it's cool to see your baseline in that, like, oh shit, I thought I was great, turns out like I need a couple days of practice here.
Peace, Hecate. Welcome.
Hi
uh,
guys, hello, hello.
hello.
How you guys doing? Yay, today's Thursday. I was like, yay. What's
Me
going
too.
on?
we're
What's the
talking
theme?
we're talking about building psychic intuition, and like and how, and I was just talking about kind of like how people were seeing what they, or how it's like you may think you're at one spot but you're actually at another.
Ah,
Yeah,
yeah.
when you practice.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, I have not experienced one spot to another one. But with psychic experience, if you're gonna talk about psychic experience, there is a couple of stuff that I noticed that can be happen to me. Like when somebody's going to tell me a story about something, I already know exactly what they're going to be telling me.
Ooh.
Like, I don't know. It's like the just one of the stuff. I'm not sure if it's related. I just came out of work, but when somebody comes and they're going to tell me about somebody, um, I was like, let me guess, she's pregnant, or all of a sudden, yeah, she's pregnant, or maybe somebody's gonna get married. I was like, let me guess, they're gonna get married. Little things like this, I already see it with the psyche, in a way, like prediction, without even without even reading the cards, like the psyche cards. You know what I mean?
And that's a big part of it, right? Psychic ability, it's not just sending messages and receiving them. There's also a level of precognition, of premonition that comes into play. Because when we tap into this field of inner knowing, we're starting to blur the lines of time and space. And in blurring the lines of time and space, that means that the immediate future and the immediate past are just as accessible as the present. And of course, the more that we practice and train and the deeper that we go, we can extend beyond the immediate future and the immediate past.
Yeah, but the skill becomes and the way that I've been seeing it lately is a form of like a feeling type of thing. When they're going to tell me something and I already know it, it takes like a few seconds or like a few minutes for me to know exactly what they're going to be saying. But it's like a form, like a feeling first, and then my brain will start telling me before the actually person talks about it. And all of a sudden I was like, oh yeah, I'm like, oh, I just confirmed it before. I actually tell the person before he or she even started telling me the story. I was like, I already know it. So it's like, it's interesting. I already know the story. Like, I already know it. But
And that's part of it, right? Like the exercises in class we talked about, it doesn't come as a plain message, right? It comes as an emotion. It comes as this field, as this energy, and we interpret it as a message. You feel it before you hear it. You feel it before you see it.
Yeah, I've been noticing that too. Like as we've been going through the as we've been working with like the mind body connection thing, it's like it really is, you understand what it means when you say maintain your frame, or like how everything is state control, because the sensation that you get is a state.
So when multiple people are focused on a similar thing, all of that awareness presses against each other. I know for myself with this course, like I mentioned before, I knew that I'd start having weird dreams because the last time we tried to do this, the astral thing, you remember that with the red cups?
Yeah, the red cup, that was a good one.
Yeah, I learned from that my dreams would begin to get affected. So thankfully, I understood my baseline. And as far as my dreams, my baseline is like I know what kind of dreams I have. You know what kind of dreams you have, hopefully. They all center around the same kind of themes. Every now and then they'll branch out, but they're always yours. There's always a flavor. Peace, Allora.
On that
there's always
topic of on that topic of dreams, there was something I wanted to mention specifically about the baseline. I've never dreamt about Brother Panic ever, but on the first class that we had, Brother Panic showed up in my dream, and I was not aware of Brother Panic until I encountered your stuff, right? And you spoke about him, and he showed up in my dream for like a flash of a second, and that was pretty cool, I thought. But it was just interesting what occurred there on that. And but because I know, as you mentioned, because I've been dream journaling for a long time, like what types of dreams I have, and I knew that was something that I was kind of tapping into that group, right? So that was very interesting. There's on something that Hecate mentioned also about feelings. So I did a tarot reading today for someone, and there was an interesting visual experience that occurred prior to that. However, when I sat down and set the intention and tapped in, the buzzing started in my throat chakra, like right away, and I was like, that's really interesting. And then all of a sudden, I was just like, I started to ask her, like, did you, like, so I'm not going to say their name or whoever, but I was like, did you have an altercation recently with this person? And was it about this subject matter? And her face just was like, yeah, you know, and it was, but just to corroborate, or sorry, excuse me, correspond with what Hecate mentioned, like, yeah, that's something that happens for most certainly. And there's been other instances too where you can tap into somebody if you're doing psychic work, and you feel particular chakras or meridians on their bodies from like a Reiki standpoint sometimes. But yeah, it's not just sending and receiving thoughts or dreams. There's you can begin to determine or decipher the physical sensations you get in your body sometimes too. And you're like, whoa, that's not me right now, right? Got to know your baseline.
Absolutely. That's why the baseline is so important, because you can imagine after feeling those intense emotions and those visions, like how easy it would be to misinterpret them. So yeah,
Absolutely.
find myself
Cleansing and protection is super important in my books, right? So that's all I want to say. Cleansing, protection, super important.
Cleansing and protection and balancing too, right? Because once you get cleansed, you want to make sure that you maintain it. So here I am, like every day after the class, having these weird ass dreams. First one I dreamt of was the cartel, and there's like these people just going around killing anybody, like without a care in the world. Anyone who opposed what they had to say, it didn't matter. Brrr. Instant death. Instant death. It didn't. Men, women, and children didn't matter. Everybody was laid down. That was not my standard dream. Next day, I had a dream about how it was this weird place where it was set up to kidnap children. And it was like this pizzeria almost. And I was a child, and I went there, and it seemed pretty empty at first. And there was this weird feeling about the whole thing. It was very dark, and death loomed in the air. And there was this one room in the back where everyone was standing in line to purchase something. The line was long, so most people, they gave up. They didn't want to stand in line. But I managed to kind of just skip ahead to see what was going on. And I saw on the other side, there was like this arcade. And everyone was playing games, having fun. And in the back corner, there's an older kid standing there, blocking the entrance to this like theater. So again, I managed to kind of sneak my way around, and I saw that there's a bunch of kids changing into these weird costumes to perform on stage, and there were a bunch of adults there. And I kept digging further and further, and I kept finding that this seemingly innocent pizzeria was actually this labyrinth that was designed to capture curious cats. There's one point where there's a lot to it, but just to make the story short, I went deep into this back room, further away from everything else, and the corridors were very tight, like you had to crawl through. And when you made it through, there was this room, and when you got in there, the gravity was so dense, like it was extremely difficult to get out. And there was like a bed and a toilet and like a pail of food, and I could tell like this is where people crawled in here, they didn't get out. So I quickly like made my way out of it. But yeah, that was another weird dream. And another one where there was this dominatrix woman, and there was a scheme to help someone escape, and someone on the team didn't make it. So this dominatrix woman caught that person, and somehow I became first person of the victim, and she had her way with the torture and whatnot. These are not my baseline dreams. I don't know where they're coming from. So I started to think about that, and I talked with Paulo Sol about it, and I realized, like, okay, because she asked me, okay, so what does this all mean to you? What does this have to do with you? And I realized, okay, so regardless of whether or not someone is projecting to me or I'm picking up on someone else's thought processes, what's happening here is whatever energy that I'm coming across, it's reflecting in my reality with the best possible symbols. So what I found was that this is really showing me some of the dark side of myself, some of the subconscious things of myself that I don't typically want to explore. So that got me thinking. When we do come into contact with other people psychically, and it influences our dreams, it may not always be a straight up projection. Sometimes we feel the energy associated with what they're going through, and it causes a reflection in our subconscious of something similar. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I think I did remember telling you about you going to a very dark stage of meditation. Like I saw you actually, well, everybody sees you, and not to say everybody, I mean people that we closer with you around for years. I think that we know somehow to tag the energies, right? And you do the same thing. Sometimes I feel that you are around, and I sometimes feel that I'm around. And sometimes when I see you, I see Darth Vader. That's what I call you, the Lord Darth Vader. But there was a time that you were going to like a very separate stages of, I don't know, meditation, that you were not around too much on the channels. And when I was looking for you, I always see you like meditating in the dark, like the dark of the darkness. Like your mind was completely gone at a certain point. You were in the dark, but at the same time, you were completely gone within the dark. I was like, okay, so this dude is actually hanging around somewhere up there, somewhere, clip off or somewhere. I'm like, I'll leave it alone. I'll leave it alone. So then I knew that, weeks later or later on, you actually were talking about, stages of the meditations. So I was like, all right. So it's a way that I think we did talk about these conversations also, that we just, we hatch the energies in a way, to find out exactly where we are at. Just like you're saying.
And also to note, since I started this class, I've had 2 Brother Panic dreams myself. Never dreamt about Brother Panic before.
I wouldn't be surprised if Brother Panic is around us, because we just kind of like, I mean, I know you learn from him and he learns from somebody else, and it's the same path of the same channel, the same energy, or the same frequencies, if that might be said. So I would not be surprised that some of you guys are actually feeling his presence. Because literally it's the cyclomancy, which is something that he was, very, very strong connected with. And now we are going to do the same pattern. So yes, I think that eventually I wouldn't be surprised that Brother Panic is around, and trying to waken us up in a way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well,
I gave.
remember when we were reading the Unfortunate books with the Kabbalah? We also felt that
Yeah.
energy. We were talking
Yeah, that's
about that
right.
energy, right? And then we were talking about Professor Butler. That's another one. We were felt the energies. Pardon, or Frank Pardon, that was another one. So we were like, like we went into that. Well, I don't know if actually it was you, you were going to like feeling that connection, that you were having a deep energies around him, or he was trying to telepathically communicate with you or something like that. I think it was something like that was happening at that time. So I think that we did the
Yeah.
same sequences at this time as well with Brother Pan.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I recall distinctly when reading Ophio's books, I felt his
All right.
presence come through, and there have been times when the unfortunate has come through. And I would have to say that this is still an aspect of psychic communication.
Just you mentioning that the presence of those people is giving me a lot of crown chakra activation.
Have you been able to practice exercise or chapter 4?
Talking about the psychic arc?
Yeah.
I sat down, I gave it a shot, but I need to do it again and again and again and again and again. More practice.
The one practice that I've been working on is timing. Body to control the body temperature, the timing, and obviously the cold and the hot from the water. But I do think to go slowly, Travis, on those practices. So I don't want to go like into the rush. Go slow and accurate. Slow and accurate. And the point that I don't know if that happens to you, I don't really need a alarm to wake up in the morning. Like if I tell myself I need to get up at 2 a.m. in the morning, which you know I already do. You already know I already automatically get up at 2 a.m. You know, I feel comfortable. But sometimes I wanted to test it and say, okay, let's get up at 3:15 in the morning. Or let's get up at 1:15 in the morning. Or whatever time. And I turn the clock off and I feel comfortable that, you know, I'll get up at that particular time. Then when I'm driving around, like I'm doing it right now, I'll be looking around and I say, well, if I left by 9:45 from my job, right now should be maybe 10:20, 10:25, 10:23, something like that. Now, but it's in the 10:20. So I'm like, I kind of like break down that time of the minutes. So right now I'm more accurate on the minutes. Hold on, guys. I'm more accurate on the minutes and, you know, an estimate time of the hours. So that's another one. With the body temperatures, what I doing is, you know, because it's in New York, so the weather is chill. Right now in November, it's getting cold. So I'm training my body to warm it up. Even if it's cold, I train the body to warm it up. And the first thing that I'm going to feel warm is my knees. So the knees comes first and then the rest of the body warms up. And then when we're talking about the hot and the cold assignments that you gave us, I still doing it. Now I'm doing with my, you know, the shooting that you were talking about from the brain and send it to the spinal and then all the way down to the hand. Now I'm doing the cooling and the hot because my left, I feel that I dominate more the left, so I see more results on my left side than my right side. But I can change the hot and the cold and the hot. I can, you know, predict, like if I want it cold, then my hand turns like a cold. If I wanted it hot, then it turns hot. So it's just like a switching the buttons on and off, on and off, on and off. So I actually did it today before I went to work. I experimented like that. And it works. Just to put the dots, not to like, not just to put the dots and not to do the experiment with with the thermos, with the thermometer yet. So I'm gonna be working on that one later on.
I tell you, the exercise with the time has been one of the most consistent for me as far as results have been. I've been practicing that nonstop. Like anytime I need to know what time it is, I make sure to grasp it before looking at the clock. And I found like I always get it within 5 minutes now. Give or take 5 minutes. Sometimes I get it spot on, don't get me wrong. I get it spot on, but if it's not spot on, it's like within 5 minutes. And just like what you said, you don't need an alarm clock anymore. I find that this has been going on for myself for a few years now, but I mean, hell, even more so now. I wake up before the alarm every time. And usually I set up like a binaural beat or some type of song to play, and it's usually like 8 hours, 10 hours. And it never fails. I always wake up just before the song ends. And it's like this song here, it's like a consistent type of melody or whatever going on. So there's no way to predict when it's going to end. I always seem to wake up within like a few moments before the song ends. Psychic power control. It's a real thing. And it works if you work it.
Absolutely. The key is practice. Practice, practice, practice. It's just the key. That's just it. The practice. And trust that you get the results. You have to trust it.
Hey, what's up, guys? My dreams. I've been doing that clock thing, and this morning it usually doesn't work at night. Like I can't wake up to my alarm if I'm heavy in dreams, and I was dreaming like crazy. And this morning I was having this weird dream, and my kids were in my dream, and then they disappeared, and I was like, "Where are my kids?" And I woke up, and then the alarm went off. So I actually got through it this time.
Yeah, that's a good one. You incorporate in your busy life with the timing.
Yeah, totally. I've done the timing thing for like so long just as a game, like not having an alarm clock, but like it doesn't work normally with dreams, but this morning it happened. And I think this weird thing is happening where it's rubbing off on my kids because my 12-year-old is having lucid dreams and my 3-year-old keeps saying bless you before I sneeze or even inhale. I didn't even know I'm gonna sneeze and he goes bless you and I'm like, what? Achoo! It's like, but they're not doing anything. It's rubbing off.
That's that subconscious mind.
I got a whole mess of pancakes to cook up here. I got a whole bunch. It's gonna last me all week. Oh my gosh.
I see.
I have always a psychic arc. I've always done something like that with making food, like especially for my kids or someone I really care about. You're just like, I'm just gonna put so much love in that food. And then they taste it and they're like, God, this is really good. And it's like it tastes normal, but it's got something in it. So I was like, wait, I already am doing that.
Absolutely. I mean, you can tell the difference between grandma's cooking, mama's cooking versus, you know, picking up something at the gas station. You can always tell a distinct difference. And it don't matter if it's healthy food or junk food.
Right? You stumble into that like random like bodega or like really like scary looking restaurant that actually has the most bomb food, and you look back there and it's like the happiest little like cook back there ever, just like making good food. Like that's rare.
Yeah, like Bobby Hemmett used to say, you never want to eat food cooked by somebody that does not like you or somebody that hates you, right? He used to talk about that. Well, let's relate that to cyclomancy, right? Being able to put the influence of your thought and emotion into what you're doing. It can work both ways, positive and negative.
Yeah, you could potentially send a rocket into that food and imbue it with your intention, right? And if you, depending upon how you charge that rocket, let's say that rocket was filled with love, and I wanted to imbue that food, you know, that will change. That intention will alter that food's molecular structure, right? With that intention alone. I forget the guy's name. Hidden Messages of Water. That book. He proved that you know, intentions and emotions affect the molecular Miyamoto. Yeah, I think that's it. I can't remember right now, but that same principle applies, because like to food and all sorts of stuff, us too, right? So same thing with applying that to cyclomancy. You could imbue other things other than food too, right? But I think you could attribute, I think one of the words would be for, they'd be called biophotons, is what they would be called for the scientific term for what you're projecting into that food. And the type of emotion that's imbued in them will affect that, whatever you're choosing to affect, that will affect its molecular structure.
Yeah, whatever happens with the double slit experiment that changes, you know, the viewing it and your intention and your whatever changes it, whatever is going on there, I think is the same thing that's happening. And yeah, and you could totally tell like it, and like sometimes I won't even attempt to cook anything fancy. If I'm in a bad mood, it's like sandwiches, you know, because it doesn't matter if I've cooked it 5,000 times, it's not gonna taste good if I am just feeling hatred for everything. It doesn't matter. But I think it's kind of a shortcut. Like Trav said earlier, I think women have a secret like psychic social group that they're all part of. I think like whatever I had before motherhood is like this automatic get in free, because like my mom used to always know where I was, and I was like, that's not even possible. But you get like these, whether you like it or not, you're like, okay, I know, and I don't even want to know, but he's up to something.
I wanted to share one very quick story about affecting food with your emotion. One time I ordered pizza from Domino's 1 minute before close, and it was the worst Domino's pizza I'd ever had. Because that person was so mad that I ordered that pizza 1 minute before it closed.
Man, listen, okay, that sucks. Now, one thing you don't want to do is order Popeyes before they close. Because if you think that Domino's is bad, them folks at Popeyes, they gonna cuss you out through that chicken. They gonna cuss you out through that mashed potatoes too. And then you'll be missing items, and you can't tell anybody about it because they're closed. Peace, Framestar Films. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you, brother. Anamali, what's up with those pancakes, though?
What, you want some?
Yes, I do. I want some.
They're gluten-free, they're soy-free, they're dairy-free. There's not a lot in there. Rice flour and almond flour and organic eggs and some organic sugar and some sunflower oil, vanilla.
All
They're
I
like
hear is
protein.
nom.
Yeah, protein pancakes.
There's not a lot in there, but can I put a lot of them in me?
No, I'm gonna have so many. This whole bowl, I mean, I must have spent like $5. I'm gonna have like, my kids already ate a whole plate full. $5, I'm not even joking you. This is so cheap. I don't understand people who spend a lot of money on food, but I would if I could. I would if I could, but I can't. So I still gotta make it delicious, even though I can't have the real thing.
Golden brown. Look at the flip. What do you have the setting on? Like 1? 5. I'm officially hungry now.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna cook everybody hamburgers tomorrow. Hopefully my son is able to make it in time before I eat everything.
Yeah. I'm cooking breakfast sausage next.
Come on now, the pancakes were enough. Now you adding the sausage to it. I need to book my
have
ticket
enough food
immediately.
for 3 days because I gotta eat this tomorrow and Saturday, and I'll be lazy Sunday, so I'll probably eat it Sunday morning too.
Oh, we're already at the weekend. Sheesh. Cahuila 4700, peace. They say organic, don't panic. So no syrup? No syrup?
Nah, they're sweet enough.
They're sweet
Too messy.
enough.
I kind of put a lot of sugar. I shouldn't have put so much sugar in them, but I got a little carried away with the cup.
Right on, right on. Sunshine Chick says, I was thinking of making buttermilk pancakes this weekend.
Pancake vibe. I'm pretty sure my toddler is constantly manifesting pancakes.
Yeah. That's when we learn. Look at the steam coming off the stack. I'm sure we learned manifestation as children through our caregivers.
Looks like you're in a good trance with those pancakes, man.
Kinda gotta be. There was a Zen thing that I learned about Zen and cooking, and I really slowed down with my chopping vegetables and everything and cooking, and I got a lot happier and the food got better.
You ever dance while cooking?
Yeah, but I'm listening to you right now. Not the dance music that goes with pancakes. Okay.
That's a good way to put some positive energy into the food. I really enjoy cooking. I'm not a supreme chef or anything, but I enjoy making my meals. It's a lot of fun for me.
Next level is when I had a bigger garden and I could grow more stuff and do like a whole salad or something, because then Man, that hits so much harder. I can't even explain it. Fresh out of your own garden when you just pick it.
And then depending on how you imbue those plants too, right? Talk to those plants.
Oh, constantly. I
Your
love
intention
hanging
with
out with
them,
the plants.
right? So
Yeah.
that'll make add all sorts of other layers and dimensions to the quality of the food when you're picking it from your garden and you're treating your plants well too.
And I used to have my son help me plant, and then they'd help me pick, and then we'd all have a meal, and it was like, I don't know. And you got to pick them at the certain time of day. At the very first part of the day, they have the most nutrients, and they haven't lost any of it to the sun. Raspberries, oh my God. There's something to it for sure. When you're gardening, you can taste it. Like when somebody really cared for that plant. My dad used to grow medical marijuana, and it was the same thing. He'd go in and he'd talk to those plants. That was the secret. All the stoners knew it. You gotta go talk to your plants to get good plants. I was like, it works.
Talk to your mushrooms, people.
Best damn mushrooms I ever had in my life. This girl, I gave her a cup of coffee at a festival that I made, and she gave me mushrooms that she said was picked on the full moon, under the light of the full moon, at the whatever, I don't even remember. Best goddamn. I never had experience like that. It was like, I don't know, man. Definitely a thing.
You're talking the psilocybin mushrooms?
Richard Tracy.
Some kind of something.
Okay.
Shiitake.
Wait, was I not
We're
supposed to?
talking
Was I
about
not supposed to?
shiitake
I did a bad. I'm sorry, guys.
Spilling the beans. I'm gonna start reading the Vedas to my mushrooms.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Hey, I live in Oregon. It's legal here now. Legal. I cannot believe it's legal. I cannot believe it's legal. That blows my mind. Anyway. That is not, I'm so glad I meditated before I ever did anything like that, though. Seriously. There's no point in doing it if you don't have any meditation under your belt. Anyway, back to pancakes.
So yeah, psychic ability. As I mentioned in the very beginning of this video, there's three components: the sender, the receiver, and the medium. Now guess what? The receiver doesn't have to be another person. Sometimes the receiver can be your batch of pancakes, or your favorite mushrooms, or your own self. That's right. That's right. One of the benefits of developing psychic ability is that you can develop a proficiency with communicating with an aspect of yourself that may have been previously uncontacted. It's an extreme benefit to understand how to go about psychic communication. Not simply just to influence people and to get what you want, but also to understand yourself. There are some levels, in fact, of your own mind that you cannot reach without developing a sufficient level of proficiency in psychic ability. So, if you have just tuned in, like Alikias, peace, or Eric Jones, peace, then it might benefit you to go back to the beginning where I spoke about psychic ability and how to communicate and some of the easier methods of doing so. Put it all in that ball and send it across. Psychic ability has a place in all of our personal development. And as I said before, it's mandatory if you want to excel in what you're doing. It's not enough to read the book. It's not enough to just try some shit and hope it works. There must be development that you can track, that you can trace, that you can test. And when you work with a certain spirit, especially if you don't get out much, you'll start to find that you begin to take on attributes of that spirit. You start to become that spirit. You ever work with an entity and not deal with people? And you start to change? You start to become the thing you're working with? Another aspect of psychic communication, but what's happening here is that you are tuned in to that spirit. And you're beginning to assimilate those things that you feel are more pure than yourself.
I don't know if I've ever lived alone long enough to do that, but could it also happen with a person? Because I definitely felt like I took on attributes of another person, but they weren't the positive attributes.
Absolutely.
But I felt like being locked in with one person long enough, whether you like it or not, you start to spiritually pick up like if you're working with a person, like would that be the same or would that be like a totally different substance?
Absolutely. I would say that that's a very similar experience. Right? Just like you can live with somebody long enough and you start to take on their attributes. When you work with specific spirits over a period of time, you start to take on their attributes. You start to become them. These are energies, and you are form, so you're given the energy form. Now that can be a benefit, that can also be a detriment. It's all depending on how you interpret that energy. I can definitely say for myself, the spirits that I work with, because I work with them intensely, I start to become them. And this isn't just based on my experience. There are others who have similar scenarios happening, even right now.
And that's interesting that you mentioned that, because last night I thought I saw you in one of my dreams, but it was a completely different, you were in a completely different form, and I was like, wait, what? Is that the same, like, is that Trav or is that someone else? And I was confused. So I wonder.
Oh Lord, keep me juicy. Om Trambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanat Prachormukshi Amamritat. But yeah, that's just that. I think you have officially made me sufficiently hungry enough to go ahead and make myself some dinner.
Oh, well, my joining backfired then. But thank you for your time tonight.
My pleasure, my pleasure. I posted a short video about how when your magic doesn't work, it may be related to certain ego issues. If you haven't seen that video, go ahead and check it out. I got a little bit of feedback that says that those short messages are appreciated, so I might continue to make some short videos here and there whenever the fancy strikes me. Alright, so those of you who are a part of the Cyclomancy class, understand that we will be meeting again on Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern. The next focus will be on chapters 5 through 7, also known as Internal Cyclomancy. Class will resume Saturday, as well as Sunday, 1 p.m. So, continue the work that you've been doing. Groups will be assigned ASAP. Kind of busy, but I'm getting these things done in proper time. You've already signed up for your groups, so we're going to connect everybody with who is, associated with you. And yeah, that's that. Do the work, study, practice. Understand that you've had a flash or a glimpse of your power. That's nothing to gloat about and prance around as a trophy. That is a symbol of what you could be doing all the time if you sharpen your tool. So do that. Be great. Be a unicorn in a world full of donkeys. Nice.
Hanging out by the kitchen. The phone is on one of my altars right now. Like my main one. It's also a mess.
Right on. All right, y'all. I'm off to fill my belly. And I hope that you are off to fill your spirit. Whatever you dream about, write it down. Interpret it. All right. So thank everybody for being here. I appreciate you all. Keep doing what you do. And do it better. Because there is nobody else who will do it besides you. Not like you.
It came off again? A damn mic? Fuck.
All good, man. All good.
Sorry, man. I've got my workout strap because I'm doing stuff and it keeps hitting the button. Sorry, man.
No problem. I thought you were somebody else who had something to say. All right, y'all. This is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. I love you, and you, and you, and you, especially you. Peace.